Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's first video, having a look at the JMA for the month ahead for today's first video and the CFS beta as well. In a little while, I'll have a quick video, just talks you through the developments that could be on the way next week in terms of some hot weather and thundery conditions potentially around the middle of next week. There's a little bit of uncertainty about it, but all models have firmed up overnight in that sort of direction. So I won't have time to go into that in this video, but I will have a video this afternoon having a quick look at that. This evening we'll also have the mid-July to mid-August forecast from Terry Scully. So a lot going on at the website today. But this is JMA Friday. We're going to have a look at the Japanese and CFS V2 models for the next month. This takes us into August. I think go to 12th of August with this update. Final month of the summer of 2016, of course, really is getting on now. So, before we get on with that, though, just say about the charity event that's taking place at Gasworthy. Throughout July, we have been raising money for the Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance. We're halfway through this now. And look at this, we stand at £632 from your very kind donations. And a huge thank you to all of you who have donated to this so far, from both Gasworthy's and also from the Air Ambulance. Still plenty of time to donate because we're going to be running this right through to the end of the month. It would be nice to get to our next target, which is £750. It would be nice to get to that by the end of the weekend. Perhaps might be a little bit too much, but it would be nice to get £750 by the end of the weekend if we can do that. But a huge thank you to all of you for donating to this. It has been a phenomenal response. And the way you do donate to this, if you would like to, is there's two ways you can do it. You can go to our Just Giving page. I'm on the Just Giving page now, and you know this is our page because it's got the Gasworthy's logo, of course. Also says Gavin's page. When you get to the Just Giving page, I'm going to leave the link in the description box at YouTube. There's also links across Gasworthy's that you can click on to get to this. When you get to our Just Giving page, just click the yellow button there that says Donate, and that's what you have to do. You just go through to a page where you put your card details very securely into Just Giving's database, and they'll take the money that you pledge, and it just goes straight through to the Air Ambulance. No messing about with that. The whole lot of that you donate will go through to the charity. The other way that you can do it is via text. I'll show you how to do that. So all you have to do is text your donation, and you put the code in first of all, which is GWVS77, with the amount you would like to donate. This is set at £1, but it could be anything upwards from that. And you just text the code and the amount to 770. And that's it. It'll be taken off your balance if you pay as you go. Otherwise, if you pay by a bill, it'll go onto your bill for your next payment. And a huge thank you to all of you who have donated to this for us so far. The Air Ambulance relies totally on charitable donation. Can you believe it costs £1,700 just to do one call out? So it's reliant completely on charity donation. They don't get any money from the government or from the National Health Service at all. And everything from the helicopter right way down to smallest plaster, it all has to be paid for via people's very kind charitable donations. But doctors that fly with the Air Ambulance even do it on a voluntary basis. They don't get paid either. So a huge thank you to everybody for doing this for us. It means a great deal to myself and my family. And if you just enjoy what we do at Gasworthy's, you like our videos, you like our updates, if you like the longer range stuff, the shorter range stuff, whatever you like Gasworthy's, I just ask that you give this little donation to the Air Ambulance on our behalf, and thanks very much for doing that. Right, let's start off with the 500 millibar height anomalies from the JMA. Then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation, and then we'll have a look at corresponding charts with the CFS as well. So quite a bit to get through. I better rattle through. So we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods from the JMA. The first week period is the week that we're currently in, the 15th through to the 22nd of July. Yellow, orange, brighter colours always extrapolate high pressure, blue to low pressure. So for the coming week, we see we've got ridging very close to the country, low pressure troughs up to the north, out to the northwest. The jet stream's going a bit further north, doing something like that with this as well. So this is a warmer, drier scenario. And as I say, we are picking up just on fewer hints of maybe a little bit of a mini heat wave early next week. Won't last long, but just for a day or two, Monday, Tuesday, possibly into Wednesday, could get quite hot, but I think very quickly break down into thunderstorms. But that's a fairly good representation as of an anomaly for the week as a whole, with quite a bit of ridging. Will be, or it should be, a warmer and drier week. Now, week 2 looks rather different. This is the 22nd through to 29th of July. And what's happening here is that all the heights are pulling out to the west of the country. So we've got these yellow colours in the Atlantic, going to Greenland. There's a trough across the northeastern parts of Europe, and essentially this would be turning the winds into the north, certainly the northwest, possibly even the north as well. So that doesn't look overly wet, but it would certainly be a lot cooler if that came off via the wind direction. I think can expect a significantly cooler week there for the final week of July. And then we go into August. This takes us from the 29th of July through to the 12th of August. Not a huge amount to go on. There's still some sort of a trough across northeastern parts of Europe. There's a ridge in the central Atlantic, but perhaps the most important feature here is all of this yellow across the North Pole. That's a lot of northern blocking sitting over the top of the pole. And if that came off, what I would expect to happen is that this trough just here will kind of expand and become bigger. So I would suspect we'd see a trough in that sort of area, and then we'd have all of the ridging up here over North Pole. Because when you get a ridge over pole, when you get blocking over pole, you'll tend to get a corresponding trough, especially this time of year when there's a lot of energy. You'll tend to get a lot of troughiness underneath the block, and I would suspect that's placed over the UK and parts of Europe as well. So reading between the lines, I would expect that's quite a cool and changeable scenario there as we're going into the start of August. Let's see whether the temperature anomalies stack up with this and precipitation anomalies. So we're going to start off with week 1 again, and this is a different view, of course. The North Pole, which is the view is just looking from, is up there off the chart. The British Isles is just here in the far top right hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. So the coming week, again, this is 15th through 22nd of July, shows quite a lot of ridging close to the country. You would expect this to be a warmer and drier week. Temperature anomalies generally a little bit above average. Not especially hot week by any means, but a little bit warmer than average. The scale is along the bottom of the chart just there. So we're in that category, which is a little bit above average for the coming week. And the precipitation anomaly, that goes a bit drier than average. So overall, it does look a fairly pleasant week coming up. We have to factor in that we might get thunderstorms, of course, later into the middle part of next week. But overall, a warmer, drier period here to start us off. We go through to week 2, the 22nd, 29th of July. Remember, this is when the heights are pulling out into the Atlantic, presumably sending the flow into the northwest or into the north. You expect this to be a cooler week, and the model, look at this, it's going cooler than average, quite a chilly into July there. Precipitation, because the heights are out to the west of us, you would expect the Atlantic to still be fairly blocked off. So precipitation still generally coming out drier than average. So that all stacks up and makes sense. Start off quite warm and dry, and then we go cooler, but still remain quite dry through to the end of July. Now we're going to the start of August. This takes us from the 29th of July through to 12th of August. It's all a little bit hard to decipher. Remember, up here over the top of the pole, we've got signs of quite a bit of high pressure, which I would have thought probably places a trough underneath it around the UK and Western Europe. Now, the temperature anomaly for this 2-weekly period into August is still cooler than average. That makes sense. What's the precipitation doing? Well, as I suspected, the precipitation here is going significantly wetter than average. So there's a shift there taking place in August. July, the second half of July, looks generally quite dry, albeit temperatures start off a bit warmer than average, go cooler than average later. August, however, goes or stays cool, but also goes wetter as we get through into August. So I think, although you can't really tell it from this height anomaly chart, I would suspect that because there's quite a bit of blocking up here, the JMA is sort of placing a trough over the UK and probably central parts of Europe as well, which is why it turns wetter as well as quite cool into the first half of August. Not great signs, you have to say, for August. So what does the CFS V2 make of all this? Well, these are 500 millibar heights, bring down to weekly periods again from the CFS. So the coming week is taking us from the 15th through 21st of July. And red colours over UK, so this looks very pleasant, rich of high pressure, close to us. Trough in the Atlantic, trough over Scandinavia, the jet streams going north, a bit like that. So it's a warm, dry week coming up there to start us off again for week 1. Remember, we could get thunderstorms later next week. Now, week 2 is different to the JMA. So already as early as week 2, they are beginning to pull apart a bit in terms of what they're seeing. Remember, in this week, this is from the 22nd to 28th of July, so towards the end of the month. In this week, the JMA wants to place a ridge out to the west of us and keep us fairly dry, but turn it cooler. What the CFS is doing is actually placing a trough over UK, and it's got quite a lot of ridging around Greenland. That does extend down into the Atlantic a bit, but this is a much more unsettled end to July compared to what the JMA is seeing. I think on both scenarios, temperatures are probably overall fairly cool, but this does look more unsettled than the JMA through to the end of July. Week 3 is looking like this. This is going from the 29th of July through to the 4th of August. This is taking a ridge into the central part of the Atlantic. Hints of a trough over Scandinavia. So again, this isn't very good. The jet stream would be doing something like that. There is a trough, I think, within the 500 millibar flow there around the UK and much of northern and western Europe. So that looks quite cool and unsettled, I would have thought. And then week 4, which is the 5th through to the 11th of August, all change again as we build above average heights into the UK and extend them through to Europe. So now the jet stream is going back north again. Very changeable period coming up. You have to say all 4 weeks are looking really significantly different to one another. So certainly keeping us on our toes with a lot of changes going on. But it is significantly different, this, to what the JMA is doing. Sometimes these two models will have very apparent agreement, and sometimes they'll be very apparently split, and this is one of those weeks where they are very much split on how this is panning out over the coming month. It just basically means that my job is made a bit harder. So the temperature anomalies from CFS V2 for the coming week, it's warmer than average. That makes sense. Ridges around the country, we can have quite a nice week. Week 2, and this is a more unsettled week, remember. This one goes near normal with temperature, still a bit above average for Scotland, but I think that is a cooler end to July, albeit not as cool as the JMA. Then we go through to week 3, and it goes cooler than average with this. So this takes in the start of August, and we're going into August on a cooler than average note. But week 4, which is the 5th through to the 11th of August, that one goes a bit warmer than average, particularly so for the northern part of the country. So really up and down temperatures throughout all of this. Sometimes warm, sometimes quite cool. The precipitation anomaly for the coming week looks generally drier than average. Remember, there's a risk of thunderstorms in there, we think, around Tuesday or Wednesday next week. We'll have a look at that later on this afternoon. Week 2, which is the 22nd to the 28th of July, generally looks wetter than average. So both these models are indicating quite a coolish end to July. They just differ in terms of whether it's going to be cool and wet or cooler and dry. Then we go through to week 3. We're losing the signal now for precipitation, so it just looks average. and then we go through to week 4. Again, quite a weak signal for precipitation, as you always get on the week 3, week 4 charts from CFSV2. Just average. I would have thought with the ridge building in for week 4, we're probably going to be driving average in that week, but the JMA, of course, seals it to be wetter than average. So it's quite a complicated update this week. It looks like we're going to be in for a very changeable period. I think that's the message coming out of both of these models. Whether they've got the patterns bang on for each individual week, I don't think you can say that, but they are both sealing quite changeable conditions. Sometimes they'll be ridging a bit warmer and drier, sometimes troughiness, in which case it turns cooler and wetter. They both kind of think as we get into August, I think that temperatures are likely, at least to be for the start of August, to be starting on quite a coolish note. And, of course, if the JMA comes off with its fairly strong signal for northern blocking for the first half of August, it is going to be pretty cool and wet right in the period where most people want it to be warmer and drier. So we're in for a few days of warmer weather next week, and we'll be discussing that this afternoon. But I would make the most of that, really. If it does come off and we do get a hotter spell early next week with some thunder, I'd make the most of it, because there's not a huge amount here to play with in terms of extended spell of warm, dry weather. It looks like the changeable summer of 2016 is likely to continue into August. Right, come back later on this afternoon when we'll have a look at the risk of hot temperatures and thunder just for a day or two early next week. And then this evening, of course, is the mid-July to mid-August forecast from Terry. Right, that's all now. Thanks.